Hey guys, and welcome to this video on the C programming language. So in this video we want to see if a number that we input has two perfect squares that sum to that number. So let's go ahead and first start by writing a description of this program. So again, this program is going to take in a number and returns two numbers such that when they are squared, they equal the input number. So let's rewrite that a little bit just to kind of understand it. So I'm going to say that is to say that we will take in a number, we'll call it n, and return two numbers, we'll call them a and b, such that a squared plus b squared equals n. And we will print n is not a summation of two perfect squares if that is the case. So if a squared plus b squared does not equal n, we cannot find an a or a b that makes this statement true, then we will print n is not a summation of two perfect squares. All right. Okay, so let's see, I have a lot more to write here. Let's actually write an example. So the example would be, we have some input, and the input maybe equals 58, and then the output equals 3 and 7, and the reasoning is because 3 squared plus 7 squared equals 58. Okay, so now how's this algorithm going to work? So let's see how the algorithm works. If a squared plus b squared equals n, then that means that a squared is equal to n minus b squared. And of course we can rewrite that to get a equals the square root. I'm going to use SQRT for square root of n minus b squared. And that also means that b squared equals n minus a squared, which we can rewrite to b equals square root of n minus a squared. Okay, so when this is all said and done, that means that our a again is equal to the square root of n minus b squared, and I'm going to write this using only one for loop, and that way our algorithm can run in what's called big O of n time. If you're not sure what that is, don't worry about it too much. Basically, we're just going to write this whole algorithm using one for loop, and all we need is for one variable to iterate or change. So that's going to be our b. So if b iterates, a will also change. So b is going to iterate, so it's going to keep changing. B will be equal to 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. And because we set a equal to this equation here, a will also change as b changes. All right. So now let's go ahead and create our libraries, or just use our libraries. So we want to include stdio.h, and we want to include math.h. So the reason for math.h is because it has functions like pow, which stands for the power function, and it has a function called sqrt, which stands for square root. Now let's go ahead and create our main function. Just setting it up, going to return 0 here. Okay, and so I want to write one for loop, so I'm going to need a variable to iterate. So I'm going to call it I, and this will be the variable to iterate through the loop. Okay, and then we're going to need our a and b. These are the values that we're going to return if a squared plus b squared does equal n. And n is going to be our input number. So maybe we'll set it equal to 58 for now. The input number. And let's see, I think that may be all that we need. So let's go ahead and write our for loop. So it's going to run from I equals 1. I is going to be less than or equal to n. And then we're going to increment I each time. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set our variable b equal to I, because we need a variable to iterate. We need our b to change. So I is already iterating, so we're just going to set b equal to I. And we could actually just use I, but I think the b makes it more clear of what we're doing here. Okay, so now we're going to set a equal to the square root of n minus b squared. But we can't just say b squared like this. We have to actually use that power function up here. And you can see that we're using the square root function. So this is actually pow b comma 2. So that's b squared. And now we need to check if a squared plus b squared is equal to n. But we can't just simply do a squared here. Again, we have to use the power function. So a comma 2. And we can't just use b squared here, so we have to use the power function, which is b comma 2. And oops, I'm going to put a little comment here. Check if a squared plus b squared equals n. So if this is true, then we found an a and a b. So I'm just going to print the a and b value. So I'm going to print a equals %d and b equals %d. And then maybe a new line as well. And then we got to tell it to print A and to print B. And then when it's done, I want it to exit out of the program, so we're just going to return 0 here. So it only checks this if it is true that we found an A and a B such that a squared plus b squared equals n. All right. Now, oh, that's still within the loop. Okay. So now if it never goes here, it'll never exit out of the program. Again, that return 0 exits out of the program. So then maybe we can print n is not a summation of two perfect squares if it never goes to that if statement. And I put a \n here for a new line. And instead of this n over here, let's do %d and print out the actual number. All right. And I think that's probably it. So let's give this a run. Let's see what we're missing here. It looks like, okay, print, because there's no such thing as print here. So print f. Okay, so let's run this again. Perfect. So it chose 58 because I'm sorry, we chose 58 and it chose A equals 7 and B equals 3 because 3 squared plus 7 squared equals 58, just like we expected. So let's try a different number instead of 58, like 25, and it should give us, I believe it's 4 and 3. So yes, so A equals 4, B equals 3. And I'm gonna make this look a little bit better. Let's actually, instead of just saying what A and B equals, let's say A squared plus our B squared will equal our N. And I have to make sure you put in that variable there. And let's see what we get back here. So perfect. Now we can see basically what we're doing. 4 squared plus 3 squared equals 25. And let's try 166. So 166 is not a summation of two perfect squares. Okay. So this right here actually runs in big O of n time, this loop here. And that's basically the solution to this problem. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I hope you guys thought it was interesting as well. So thank you guys for watching. Please leave any questions you have, comments. Don't forget to leave likes, and definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's always appreciated. I will have the code in the description link below, and I will be sure to put the other solution to this in a link either in the description or at the end of the video. So as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.